Hello, my name is Connor, and this is my case study on kimchi. Historical records trace kimchi back about 3,000 years, when the first fermented vegetable, a marinated cucumber, was made in Korea. Cabbage kimchi, the type which most people think of today, is also very old, dating back to sometime before 0 BC, though an exact date is not known. While most of the kimchi people eat today includes both cabbage and peppers, it is important to note that kimchi has many different types, featuring many different vegetables and marinades. The modern type of kimchi, which uses pepper, cabbage, and garlic as its core ingredients, did not emerge until the 1600s, when peppers, a product originally from the New World, were finally commercialized and brought to Korea. Despite peppers being introduced in the 17th century, it was not until the 1800s that peppers became affordable enough that they could be combined with Napa cabbage to make the recipe iconic today. Prior to the modern mass production and standardization of kimchi, different regions and households within those regions all had their own kimchi recipes, which made use of whatever vegetables were common and available. In order to preserve vegetables so that they would have access to nutrients come winter, it was a common practice for Koreans to dry them out so that they would keep better. After the discovery of fermentation, it slowly but surely began to replace drying as a method for vegetable preservation. Kimchi would be made by cutting vegetables into many small pieces and then marinating them in a brine. These vegetables would then be placed in earthenware jars, which would be buried underground during late fall. By burying the jars underground, they were better able to maintain a constant cold temperature, which assisted greatly in the fermentation process. Using this method, vegetables would be ready to eat and tasty months after they were harvested, and would typically keep well until the next harvest. Whatever kimchi was left over once winter was done would be eaten over the next few months or shared communally during kimjang. Kimjang is a tradition in Korea where families and communities get together to make and enjoy kimchi. After gathering ingredients such as sea salt and dried peppers throughout the year, the housewives of the community would choose a date for kimjang to occur, which was typically considered to be the best day for fermentation to begin. It served an important role by bringing the community together to not only share food, but also innovations, information, and ideas. Additionally, while it is not as important today, it was often a place where those with excess food would share with others who may not have been as fortunate, helping to ensure that everyone had enough food to survive the winter. Most people who eat kimchi do not produce their own, and instead choose to purchase kimchi either at the grocery store or from a restaurant. Due to the increased demand for pre-made kimchi, Korea has developed a huge import market for kimchi. The vast majority of imported kimchi comes from China and is regarded as being lower quality but is sold at a lower price point than its authentic Korean competitors. Overall, kimchi imports rose by roughly $50 million between 2010 and 2020. Furthermore, Korea has maintained a deficit of kimchi every year since 2006, with Korea importing $47 million more kimchi than it exported in 2017, its worst year on record. For those that do make their own kimchi, the majority no longer use buried clay pots in fermentation. Instead, kimchi refrigerators have become a far more popular way to make kimchi at home. Many homes use these specialized fridges, which contain a far better environment for fermentation than a conventional fridge, in order to replicate the results of a traditional method, but save time and effort. Most modern families choose to ferment kimchi for a few weeks at most, although it can easily be fermented for much longer and still maintain taste. A large part of kimchi's continued popularity comes from the myriad of benefits it carries over traditional food. Kimchi is a great source of many helpful vitamins and bacteria, making it a health superfood. Its beneficial effects include lower cholesterol levels, slower aging, increased weight loss, a more effective immune system, clearing skin, and more. These benefits have contributed significantly to kimchi's popularity, as both physical health and cosmetic beauty are considered important in South Korea. These benefits have also contributed significantly to its traction overseas, as kimchi came to be regarded as a health superfood in 2012 and 2013, sparking interest in Korean cuisine as a whole. Additionally, this attention helped pave the way for international demand for kimchi, and served to help make Korean cuisine trendy in many Western countries. As time has gone on, both demand for and production of kimchi have continued to increase. In 2010, kimchi exports from Korea were $98,360,000, whereas 10 years later, in 2020, kimchi exports have grown to $144,541,000. The country where kimchi has been most successful is Japan, which represented just under 50% of all kimchi exports in 2020. However, kimchi's success is by no means limited to just Japan, as it has been noticeably successful in countries such as the United States, Australia, Hong Kong, and Singapore, all countries which saw their kimchi consumption increase by more than 50% last year. This success has led to kimchi becoming by far and away the most widely available Korean food product, as well as the international face of Korean cuisine. Kimchi is often served in a huge variety of ways, ranging from being placed on top of rice or served alongside Korean barbecue to being cooked and used as a burger topping, and its incorporation into foreign dishes shows no signs of slowing down. Despite growing kimchi consumption globally, many of the younger Koreans do not eat nearly as much kimchi as their predecessors. This change is largely attributed to the rise of more global cuisine within Korea, as many people eat far more Western food than was previously normal. Additionally, most of the kimchi that people purchase at stores or are served at restaurants is actually Chinese kimchi rather than an authentic Korean kind. This has led to concern that Korean kimchi may become eclipsed, which has led many in Korea to push traditional kimchi as a better, higher quality product than its foreign counterparts, similar to how many other countries market their traditional crafts. The recognition kimchi has achieved globally has led to it becoming a point of pride for many Koreans, but has also served to fuel several conflicts with Korea's Asian neighbors. Kimchi has led to several political disputes with countries, most notably China. In 1996, Japan got into a legal dispute over kimuchi, the Japanese version of kimchi, and how it was being marketed as kimchi. This dispute ended up with an official legal definition of kimchi being created in 2001, which specified kimchi as using salted Napa cabbages as a main ingredient and producing lactic acid under low temperatures while fermenting. Due to the amount of lactic acid production during fermentation, Korean kimchi has been illegal to import in China since 2012 as it exceeded the legal limit, while China's own version of fermented cabbages, pao kai, was safely under the limit. This difference led some in Korea to question the regulation's motive, especially when looking at how much pao kai was imported to Korea. In 2020, the ISO created a new set of regulations for the production of pao kai. This was reported by several state-affiliated Chinese media outlets as setting a new international standard for the kimchi industry, with China as the leading actor. Similarly to the 1996 issue with Japan, Korea was notably upset with the declaration, which sparked both anger online and a discussion about both the origins of kimchi and what should be legally considered kimchi. The main issues facing kimchi are steep competition from its Chinese and Japanese counterparts, a falling interest from Korea's younger generations, and a lack of knowledge about what makes it special in a global context. While the government has attempted to push kimchi in Korean food, it has been largely overshadowed by Japanese and Chinese food abroad and faces a growing shift away from traditional Korean cuisine towards a more Western diet at home. There are several ways to confront these issues, but a few stand out to me as the most realistic options. In order to make traditional Korean kimchi more attractive compared to pao kai or kimuchi, the government could choose to either pass taxes or tariffs that affect foreign goods, or to subsidize Korean kimchi production, as the primary reason people choose to eat the alternatives is the price difference. In order to renew interest in Korean food at home, the government could choose to organize campaigns to push it and aim them specifically at younger generations, as such campaigns have been historically effective. These campaigns may also help to preserve kimjang, which has been dying off in some urban communities, by pushing making your own kimchi as something worth doing and by emphasizing the importance of cultural heritage. Finally, the most effective way to push kimchi into international markets is to both double down on its health benefits and to focus on pushing it as a side dish or ingredient in other types of cooking. Kimchi has already seen success when combined with other cuisines, such as hamburgers, sandwiches, pizzas, and many more, and the majority of people who try it through them will become more familiar with the flavors and palate of Korean cooking, which has generated interest in the past. Additionally, Korea will have to focus on marketing its kimchi as a higher quality, more authentic version, as China is simply much larger and able to produce more food at lower price points, while Korea often has to import some ingredients, such as Napa cabbage, further driving up the price. I believe these solutions are feasible because they have worked in the past for other countries in similar situations and continue to work for them moving forward. Thank you so much for watching my presentation.